Hi guys, Inky Vaper here, and today we're going to be talking about the Limitless RDTA. Now, hold on to your knickers everyone, because this is going to be a gush fest. I tell you that now, a bit of a spoiler alert and all the rest of it, but this is amazing. I absolutely love this tank. I've been using it constantly for the last sort of fortnight. I've had all sorts of different builds in it, and yeah, I'm really impressed with it so far. I really enjoy the vape that I'm getting from this. So what we'll do is we'll pop down, we'll take a quick look. I'll show you how I wick it. I'll show you the little tricks and stuff that I've learnt with the mouthpiece and that kind of stuff. And then what we'll do is we'll come back up and I'll talk to you about what I think of it. Obviously, it's going to be good because I've already told you that I'm gushing about it. So I'll see you in a little bit. Hello again. This is the Limitless RDTA in its packaging. Nice sort of outer sleeve with this sort of paisley type of deal on it. Got all the gubbins on there. Scratch and check. And that just comes off. We'll pop that out of the way. Got a plastic jewel case. Take that out. As you can see here, we've got a bag of spares. You've got spare top and bottom O-rings for the glass piece. You've got some spare grub screws for the deck. Various different O-rings there as well. We've got a reduced mouthpiece. I'm just going to bring up the exposure just a touch, just so maybe we can make out the black stuff a bit better. Okay, so that's the reduced mouthpiece, and as you can see, it's kind of takes it down a bit of a size on the bore of the drip tip. I'm not overly fond of this. I think it makes the tank's airflow a bit turbulent, a bit noisy, and I found it got quite sort of condensation, quite a bit of condensation in the inside there, and yeah, wasn't a fan. So I have got a solution though, because I'm not overly fond of using it without anything. Obviously, we also got an Allen key which fits the grub screws. It's reasonable. Okay, so now here's the tank. Another Allen key in the bottom there, and some gubbins in the bottom, instructions, etc. Now my packaging got a little bit damaged at Expo because it got juice leaked all over it. That wasn't the fault of the tank, it was the fault of me putting another tank in there because I was so desperate to use this one. So I'll just get rid of these bits and pop those out of the way so that we can actually have a look at the RDTA itself. Right, that's out of the way. Okay, here we have the Limitless RDTA. As you can see at the top there, you've got what they call, well, the sort of wide mouth piece at the top there. Now you can pop the reducer cap in there, which makes it slightly longer, but only just a little bit. And to be honest, I don't like the way that it affects the airflow, like I just said. Let's just take off this top cap. So here we've got the top cap, which has got huge, great big air slots in there. You've got the Limitless logo, you can see that, Limitless logo, and we've got knurling around the top of this Delrin mouthpiece, which also acts as your airflow control, so you can actually close this off by just twisting that round, which it's not going to do because it's wet. I've just cleaned it and it's all a bit tight. It is closing up a bit. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. I'll pop it out anyway so that you can actually see it. So basically you've got these cutouts on the side here, and as you rotate it inside the barrel there, you can open or close the airflow as you wish. I tend to run this fully open. I quite like it. So there's the top cap. Okay, here is the build deck. As you can see, velocity style deck. You've got 4 wicking holes down the bottom there, reasonable sized post holes. I've had Claptons and stuff like that in here. At the moment I've got a rather dirty looking stainless steel 317L build in there, but it's working nicely, so I'm just going to leave it in. And this ring here actually removes, and we'll show you that in a second. Now that's a fill port there, and when you've got the cap on, that's closed. As you can see, there's a little droplet mark on the barrel there. You can see it. I think we'll turn the gain down just a touch now. Okay, so you can see that a bit better. I think just where my finger is, there's a little droplet, and you just pull open there, and you'll pop the cap up. This is all a little bit tight because obviously it's all just been cleaned, and those O-rings are a little bit on the dry side. But there you go, you've got a fill port there which will just fill this bottom tank, and it works really well, to be honest. It's excellent. You do get a little bit, I found that you get a build up of e-liquid around these two O-rings, and so when you push this back down you quite often sort of get a little bit of seepage around the edge there, but you know, it's nothing too major. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll just unscrew this here, and as you can see around the edge of the build deck there are threads which this barrel piece screw onto, which basically keeps your deck away from your e-liquid, and your coil, obviously your wicks go down these wicking channels all the way around. You've got glass little Pyrex tank at the bottom here. Now I'm just going to try and get this off without doing any damage to it. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I think you can actually take that off, but obviously this is a little bit dry and a little bit stuck on there because I've literally just washed it, and everything's all a little bit tight at the minute. But so with this, basically you can actually work on your coils and re-wick with juice still sat in this bottom bit, because this is basically sort of where you're filling your juice to. So you know, up to this sort of kind of level, you're going to be filling your juice up to. So it's quite cool because you can actually work on your build deck. If you need to re-wick or anything like that, you can do that, and you've still got this Pyrex bit holding your juice. So what we'll do is I'm going to re-wick it. Getting a bit used to doing these re-wickings now. So what we'll do is just zoom in a bit, I think, and let's try and just focus that a little bit if we can. There we go. So we've got the deck there, as you can see, coils, etc. I think I'm going to up the gain, the exposure. Oop, not quite that much. That's probably a little bit better. You can actually see what I'm doing now. Okay, so I'm just going to get some Kojendo Muji type deal and cut roughly about, I don't know. These coils are 3mm diameter, so I've gone for a little bit wide, well, quite a bit wider than that. So that's the kind of width that we're looking at there. Okay, and what I do is I'm just going to chop that diagonally in the middle so that we've got ease of twizzle. Yep, that is a technical term, twizzle. So I've already taken the top and bottom layers off this piece of Kojendo, so it's ready to go. Basically just twist the end there so that we can get it through the coil. Take it through, nice and stiff, nice bit of resistance, but not overly too much. And the same, we'll do the same on the other side, and then we'll show you where we're going to actually cut this. Now, you don't need great long leading sort of trailing wicks with this tank at all. The way that I'm wicking this now, I've been wicking this like this for best part of a fortnight now. I've hardly used anything else. If anybody follows my Instagram feed, you'll see I tend to post pictures daily of what I'm vaping, and this setup on the Sigali 213 has been kind of the main feature of my Instagram lately, probably much to most people's boredom. So there we go. It's had a good test. That's one thing. So what I'm doing is I'm going to get to the get the cotton and just make sure that it's just above. You can see that just above the glass tank there. This one needs a little bit more of a trim. So I'm just cutting it so that it's about a mil. I've marked that, so I'll just cut it as it stands. So you've got about, you see it, just sitting a couple of mil above where the actual tank starts. I'll do that same process around the other sides again. Set this one down. I think this one's probably about right, just a little tiny bit off. Okay, right, so now we have our 4 little tails of wick, and as you can see, once they're in position like so, they'll just sort of slot in between there, and it's all good. And they just basically just trail down, so they're not actually going into the tank. I don't want them to go into the tank, because what will happen is as you tilt this tank, it actually feeds these wicks of its own accord. I've not had any problems with this wicking method with any kind of dry hits or anything like that, and that's in normal power mode or temperature control. Obviously temperature control, you're not going to get as many dry hits anyway, but in normal power mode this has been absolutely fine and spot on. So what we do is just pop this ring on here. Now I don't wet the cotton down because I just generally find that it makes the cotton swell. It becomes a bit of a pain in the arse to sort of situate it properly. So what I do is I just put it in dry to missus, and then just twist this round until it's nice and tight on there. Now what I'm trying to do is I want to get this so that it's nice and tight on there, but it's not affecting these wicks too much. So right, I've got it. If you can see, I've got the fill port here is kind of level with the side of the post, and that's where I want it really. And what I do then is you can see there's some cotton poking through on this on the sort of the juice flow hole there. So what we're going to do, it's a bit tricky for me to do whilst on camera because I can't really see what I'm doing, but just get a pair of these elbow jointed tweezers, or any tweezers, or even a little Allen key or something like that, something that's quite fine and pokey, just to get in there and just move those wicks to either side. Because basically what you want is this to be nice and clear, because when you put in your spout for your juice bottle into that hole, you want the juice to be able to go freely down into the tank there. If you've got cotton obstructing it, it will just kind of bubble up and then start to pee out of that hole there, and it's not good. So just do what I've just done there. And right, what juice are we going to put in here? I know what we're going to put in here. We are going to put in some French Dude. This French Dude is amazing. It's a French toast blueberry cream and maple syrup. It's by the breakfast, what they called breakfast, well, I can't remember what the name of the juice company is, but French Dude. You search for it, you'll find it, I'm sure. But I think it's awesome. It's absolutely spiffy stuff. Very, very tasty. I got this from Jam. Riyadh recommended it to me and G-Shire while we were walking around at Jam, and I have to say that I tried it in his moonshot that he'd just got, and I just fell in love with it virtually straight away. So I bought some, and it's now just one of those e-liquids that I just really do enjoy. I don't vape it all the time because I've only got I've got this little bottle left and another bottle sitting on the side there, and unfortunately the spout on this is bloody narrow, and it's not filling particularly brilliantly. It's not the fault of the tank, that's the fault of this stupid unicorn bottle. The spout on it is a bit shit, to be perfectly honest. I'm getting there. You see, I'm just filling it up. We want to get it so that the whole of the bottom of this glass is full. We don't really need to leave a bubble, because there's no kind of issue with wicking on this thing. It's just trying to get the last bit of juice out of this bloody bottle. Sod it. I'll open the other one. I'll probably work a bit easier. See, that's the other bottle of it that I've got. Comes in a 60ml bottle and you get a couple of unicorns. Right, that was quicker. Right, so we now have juice in the tank. I'm gonna just pop a little bit over the top of the coils, just so that we're not running any risk of the coils or the wicks at the top here burning once we put some power through it. Just a little bit of juice on there just to get it going with the wicking. And there we have it. Right, so now what I was saying before about the mouthpiece, about the original constricted mouthpiece not being my favourite thing, but I'm not a big fan of the wide bore chuff style that it comes with, because it's a little bit too short for my liking, and I end up with my big fat lips sort of trying to perch on this ledge here, and yeah, that's irritating. So what I've found is that if you have a Griffin or a Goon RDA or a what's the other one, Kennedy drip tip, they fit in the mouthpiece here. Now, it doesn't look brilliant, but at the same time I don't think it looks too shit, and it just gives you that little bit of extra distance from the top there, and less likely to sort of get any kind of burny lips type of situation going. So right, we'll just pop this on, and there we have the Limitless RDTA with a Griffin drip tip in there, just for my own personal sake. That's all wicked and ready to rock. So we'll go up top and we'll have another little talk about the pros and cons on this, and I'll see you there. Man, this is the Limitless RDTA, as we've seen up close. This is a cracking little tank, in my opinion. Got this at Vape Expo from the guys from Limitless. I'm not going to go into prices or anything like that, because with the TPD coming into effect, I don't know where I stand with it. So at the end of the day, Google it. This, in my opinion, is fantastic. I've been using it constantly for the last 2 weeks, and I can't say enough good things about it, to be perfectly honest. Now, we'll go into some cons and some pros. Now, cons, there really is just a very few, and I had to really kind of search to find some, to be honest. First one being that the mouthpiece itself is a little bit short. I would have liked to have seen a 510 adapter so that people who want to use their own drip tips can. The converter, the reduction piece, I don't know what they want to call it, I don't like it very much. It becomes once there's a bit of condensation built up in there, it gets a little bit loose. It does make for the airflow becoming quite noisy, in my opinion, and it really only sort of sticks up about 3 or 4 mil above the top of the normal mouthpiece anyway. So it's kind of, it doesn't really give you much separation from the top of the tank, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of either of those things, but the Griffin drip tips fit perfectly, and it doesn't look too bad. It makes it a little bit long, but hey, I've got a big mouth and I need something a little bit better. Otherwise, my big old fat lips end up looking like I'm swallowing the tank. So the other minor con, in my opinion, is when you pull up the sleeve to access the the fill port. You can get a little bit of condensation come squeegeeing out when you push it back down again, but it's not a huge amount. It's not like it's pissing juice everywhere, so you know, it's a niggle, but I wouldn't make it a major con in any way. Now for the pros are that I think that it's extremely well made. The top barrel is a little bit thin, but it's decent. It's well made. The engraving on the front is quite cool. I quite like the Limitless logo. The airflow for me at fully open is perfect. Vapor and flavour production, obviously that's kind of build dependent, but it is very, very good. You can certainly whack up the watts. I've got this at 50 at the moment. I think I'm gonna just take it up a little bit more because I think it could do with probably a little bit more juice going through it, or power I should say. Exquisite. Really, really good flavour. Now, as you can see, that you can't see any of the cotton really. You can see sort of like, if you look closely, you can see sort of tails of little tiny bits of the cotton coming up. Now, your natural sort of tilting of the tank brings juice to the top of the tank anyway, and feeds those wicks. So the way that we wicked it in the close up, you won't have any, if you do it the way that I've done it, you won't have any, I've found that you won't have any issues with it wicking. I've not had any dry hits at all. You want to make sure that your cotton's relatively thick, relatively wide for the coil, like I showed you, because you want to make sure that those four wicking channels have got decent amount of cotton in them. If you want to put this in your pocket, because if you go too loose, which I found on my first build of this, I was very excited at Expo the Saturday morning after I'd got it. I cleaned it and built it in my hotel room, and I didn't put quite enough wick in it, and it was occasionally sort of getting a bit of leaking out of the airflow. But I found that once I actually sort of got the level of the wicking right, I've not had any leaking issues with it since. The O-rings on this are great. The tension on the top cap when you pull it up to fill it with juice is just perfect. The amount of tension on the top on the actual airflow at the top is great as well. You can really sort of dial it in as exactly how you want, and you can obviously if you're taking it down really small, you might want to just sort of make sure that you move the airflow so that it's banging. The airflow is hitting dead center on the coils. What else can I say? You've got a protruding 510. I didn't show that in the close-up. I should have done. The threads on the 510 are actually a little bit shorter, so it's got a nicely protruding 510, which will mean that it'll be able to be used on your hybrid top caps. If you want to use it on a mechanical, you can do. And it's but because they've done the same thing basically as the Velocity V2 did, which is they've reduced the amount of threads, which means that the 510 protrudes without making it a huge, great long 510 that just gets, doesn't sit flush on stuff. This is sat flush on everything that I put it on. It's worked flawlessly. It is just amazing. The tank itself came very clean indeed. There was not even a whiff of machine oil. I literally rinsed this in the hotel room sink. I'd normally ultrasonic everything, but I was desperately keen to have a go on this, and so I just give it a good wash with some hot water and a bit of soap in the hotel sink, because I always like to clean everything. And Not even a smidge of machine oil. Everything absolutely immaculate and clean. Packaging is good. What more can I say? It's obvious that I like this thing. If you're interested in these style of tanks, I've certainly enjoyed using this one. and I can't really sort of say any more about it, to be honest. I mean, you know, it has been in constant use every day for the last 2 weeks since I've got it. This has rarely left my hand. Now, I'm normally the kind of person that's constantly changing devices, changing tanks, changing drippers. This has dominated my time. Normally, when I'm testing something, obviously, if I'm testing something for a review, I tend to sort of gravitate towards that, sort of concentrate on making sure that I use that device more often than anything else. That hasn't been an issue with this, because I've found that I've naturally sort of picked it up to use it anyway. I've put all sorts of different juices through it. They've all worked really well. And like I said in the close-up, I've got a 317L stainless steel build in this. Got it running. It's aiming out at 0.37 ohms, and I'm running it at 60 watts in power mode. I've also had it running in temperature control mode. Perfect. You know, really good connections. Obviously, with that velocity style deck there, you're going to get really good connections for any of your temperature limiting or temperature control, whichever way you want to describe it. Those kind of builds work really well, I find, with the velocity style deck. You will not go far wrong with this tank. It is what the, in my opinion, this is definitely what the Theorem and the Avocado should have been. This is very, very well made, very well designed, very well thought out. So I'll have another vape. We'll leave it there. Thanks ever so much for watching. I'm hoping to bring some more stuff soon. The 213 will probably be the next thing up. I'm also probably going to do a little video about the Clapton coiling jig that I've got, just to show you how I use that, because I have arthritis in one of my hands and I find it difficult to do Claptons in the traditional way. I've got a jig that actually helps me do that, so we'll probably do that soon as well. But in the meantime, if you've enjoyed this video, please click the like button for me. That'd be great. And if you haven't done already, give us a subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.